what schools in their current home
Right.
do you think are going to see the biggest decrease in the level that they play at nationally or within the conference?
Well, let's start off with the Big Ten. If you would have asked me in 2022 which teams get absolutely screwed by realignment, you would say a lot of the teams in the Big Ten West. Like you would look at Paul Chris's Wisconsin, and you would say, like you got to play Ohio State, you got to play Penn State, you got to play USC, UCLA. How do you compete in a shootout? You'd also talk about Nebraska; they would struggle. But what those programs did is that they rolled up their sleeves and realized, hey, we're actually pretty good brands. You know, they get Luke Fickell, they get Matt Rule. So I actually think they're going to be fine during this realignment. I think another school that might struggle, and I know this kind of changes the conversation just a little bit, but I think USC is going to struggle. I think Lincoln Riley is not ready for Big Ten play. The trench play is not going to be able to hold up. The defense is going to struggle. Like when I line up Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan against those Trojans, I think they're going to punch him in the face.
Yeah, I think USC is going to struggle at first, but if they can start to recruit offensive and defensive line talent from the Midwest, I think that they'll be in a better position. There just isn't very much of that out west, especially in California. I think in the last 3 or 4 classes, there hasn't been a top 100 ranked offensive or defensive lineman in the state of California for USC to even recruit from their home state. So that presents unique challenges. I'm actually going to disagree with you. I think Wisconsin's going to be hurt by the additions to the Big Ten because now I think I'm a believer in Luke Fickell. I'm a believer in that kind of direction overall. But I think of Wisconsin as, maybe the 3rd or 4th best program in the Big Ten over the last decade. And I think that that's probably going to fall at least a little bit. I mean, I expect Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State to still kind of maintain at the top of the league moving forward. And I think USC will kind of slide into that top group as well. But I think you're going to see teams like Wisconsin and see teams like Iowa who are in that middle tier really kind of fall off and struggle because of how much more difficult things are going to be. And, I think Oregon only makes things more difficult for them upcoming. I think Washington only makes things more difficult for programs like Wisconsin and Iowa upcoming. And Michigan State's a program that's been kind of inconsistent over the last decade, I would say. I mean, they've had really good highs. Think about the peak D'Antonio years, and then obviously 2021 under Mel Tucker. But, I think they're going to struggle with the new schools coming into the Big Ten, and I'm fascinated to see which of those middle tier Big Ten schools really kind of are able to maintain a middle tier level or fall off a little bit. And I think Wisconsin's one that could fall.
If we're comparing what Wisconsin was able to do in 2016, yes, but people that were following college football, we knew that Paul Chryst was going to bring this down to a 7-win, 6-win program because the offense was so outdated. So I think Wisconsin really, cut the damages. I mean, they're going to be a lot better with Luke Fickell than they were with Paul Chryst. You look at Iowa, that's nepotism. I mean, Brian Ferentz should not be the offensive coordinator of Iowa. I mean, they need to score 25 points a game or else he gets demoted. You know what's going to happen. Iowa's going to be playing like Western Michigan, and they're going to get 4 pick sixes, a blocked field goal for a touchdown, and that's going to be included in the point total. I mean, if you're a Hawkeye fan, you're pissed.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be like fired up about that like whole contract stipulation becoming public.
But one more thing about this whole, the losses, West Division teams that's going to rack up. Michigan State might struggle. I think the way that we view college football, it's like a 10-2 season's elite. Like you want to get to the 10-2.
Yeah.
There's too many good teams now. Like look at the SEC.
That's what I think it's going to happen with Wisconsin. I just think that there's now losses on their schedule that weren't there typically because they played in the Big Ten West.
I think it's for Penn State too. Like when you play Oregon and Washington, I mean, these are elite football programs potentially. So, and with the college football playoff becoming 12 teams, it's going to be acceptable to lose 2 to 3 games. Like I think the college football landscape is going more towards an NFL style. Like the New York Giants went 9-7 and they won the Super Bowl. It's a great year. I think in college football, you're going to tolerate a 9-3 season.